Thanks for staying with Sunrise. She is currently a second-year computer science and technology student at Harbin Institute of Technology located in Harbin, China, who needs assistance to go back to school to fulfill her dreams. Let's welcome Oshin Constable to share more of her journey. Good morning, Oshin, and welcome to Sunrise.
Hi, good morning.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Just
Uh,
finished the class actually.
all right. So, Oshin, did you always dream of becoming a computer scientist?
To be honest, no. I was actually going to venture into biochemistry,
Mm-hmm.
and when I got to grade 12,
Mm-hmm.
I found out more. I got more interest in computer science. I didn't actually do CAPE Com Sci, but I did information technology, and through doing that and realizing how well I accomplished a task, and just realizing how much I can, learn from this, I really
Mm-hmm.
developed an interest. So I
Okay.
switched my specialties.
And how do you plan to use computer science?
Well, with the direction that the world is heading in, computer science is very important.
Mm-hmm.
The part that I'm looking at is really software. So, how we use software to help businesses accomplish their daily task. How can I use a software to, let's say, help the government?
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot of even young people now that they are not as technically
Honest.
prone as others are,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that's because of lack of opportunities. How can I,
Mm-hmm.
um, after completing my goals, how can I help them? How can I teach them how to use software? So it's not a complete answer. I'm
Mm-hmm.
still working on it, but it's something that I'm very passionate about.
All right, it suffices, and passion is always good. All right, so I want you to walk me through the journey when you completed high school and you achieved the subjects that you needed to matriculate to university. Tell me about that experience right there.
It was very interesting
Mm-hmm.
because after I completed high school, I did very well. I got all my subjects and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, now it's time for university. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't just go to high school to just end it there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I applied for UE and I got through. But at that point, I actually applied for biochemistry because, as I said, that's what I wanted to get into at first. And then the question came, okay, you got into university, now how are you going to pay for it? Um, I was like, okay, let me take the year off and try to work, to get some money to put towards it. And at that point, they had a requirement where if you want to defer, then you pay a specific amount of money for them to hold your space. And I had forgotten that I had applied for the scholarship to study in China. And the day that I went to UA to pay it was $20,000 at that time to
Mm-hmm.
pay the money to defer. That was the same day that I got the call to say that, hey, you got the scholarship to go and study in China.
Yeah.
So it was a bit difficult because I was applying for multiple universities, even overseas. I applied for scholarships here as well. Didn't get through for most of them, or the ones that I got through, it only covered a part of the scholarship, and I was
Mm-hmm.
still having difficulties to fulfill the other part.
Right.
But when I got the scholarship, I was even wondering, should I take it? It's so far. But then I did, and it was a good decision because it's not easy. My course is taught in Chinese,
Mm-hmm.
so you have to take the first year to learn the language,
Right.
and it prepares you to a point. It
Mm-hmm.
the because it's basically it's 3 semesters. It's not a whole year, so it really helps for your day-to-day activities
Mm-hmm.
living in China, as
Right.
far as preparing you for studying, say, physics and calculus and so forth in Chinese. It's not a big help, but I did what I had to do.
Okay, and what was your first year experience like? Talk to me about the
It was
successes.
good.
Tell me about the challenges.
Okay, so I got to China in September of 2019, and I remember throughout the whole process, I was very calm. I was just, okay, we're going, it's fine. And when I got there on the first day, that's when it really like occurred to me, I'm in China. And I remember calling my mama. I was like, I think I want to come home. This is after I'm thousands of miles away. But then, I gave it a chance, and I, opened my mind to the possibility. I was saying to myself, I'm not the first person to do this. So I started learning the language, and it was hard to go from English to something that is totally unfamiliar.
Can
But then
imagine.
it wasn't me alone. I had multiple persons. I met persons from different countries in Africa, from Spain, a lot of different countries. And I realized that we were all going through the same experience. It was hard. So what we did was we formed study groups. Like, their education system is absolutely bizarre. You have to literally just make up your mind to know that you're here to study, you're here to, get your degree. So that's what you have to focus on. I remember being in the library like every day after class because they have exams every week. So you are going from English to something you don't know and having exams on this every single week. They have something that they call Tingxie, which is like every day you go to class, you have to literally, for example, they call a word and you have to write the Chinese version of it, and that is graded. So it was really something. And then after
So,
I got the hang of it, go ahead.
so at the end of all of that, you were successful for your first year, though.
Yes, I was. Actually, I came back to Jamaica in 2020. And because of that, I had missed a few exams because for the first year, you study Chinese. And in order to go on to study your major, you have to pass those Chinese exams. So because I came back home, I missed those exams. So I actually started over in September 2021. And by July 2021, I successfully completed all my exams and I moved on to my first year studying computer science, which I completed last year. Or I'm sorry, I completed it in July of 2022.
Right.
So since September, I started my second year. And it was successful. It wasn't easy, but I got it done.
But you came back in 2020, you said. Tell us the background to that story.
Right. So in January of 2020, because the way their system is set up is that they have a winter holiday that goes from around January to March or so. And I went on I went on a vacation in Beijing. I was like, okay, let me take a week with a few friends to see, some other cities. And I did. And by the time I came back, COVID had started. It was because at first it was being reported as pneumonia. So we were still allowed to travel.
Right.
And then they said it was COVID. So I was like, okay. So I came back and the option was there to go home. So I was like, okay, let me go home. Hopefully it blows over, in a few months we can go back. When I came home, I realized that, okay, this may not blow over in a few months. Right. So I was like, okay, how am I going to, make this work? And remember, they're in a different time zone. So I spent a year of not sleeping. And for the first year, because you're studying Chinese, it's not like when you start university, you have a class here and then 2 hours later, you have a class. No, I had class throughout the night. So it started at like 12:45 a.m. and I didn't finish class until 7:15 a.m. And I had a 1 hour lunch break. So for the other hours, I was in class.
So
and
no,
then I cleaned.
So no, there are some courses that you have to. How long is the course of study actually?
It's 4 years.
4 years. And now you need to return to China because the courses that you have to do for your second year, it is?
Right.
It has to be done physically. You have to be there face to face.
Yes, some of the courses. Some
right.
of them.
So now you need to go back, but there's a challenge.
Yeah, there's a challenge. It's expensive. And funny enough, because they only told me like towards the end of July, and I immediately started fundraising and so forth, and I was able to. I got the tickets already to go back, and I thought everything was fine because I was like, okay, I put all the effort, I did the work, okay, fine, everything's good. I'm getting my visa, I bought my tickets, booked my hotels, and then my university told me like literally around 3 or 4 days ago, hey, the policy has changed in our city. When you get back in the city that the school is in, you have to quarantine for 3 weeks in a hotel that you have to pay for. So that one kind of just threw me off because, I wasn't prepared for it. It wasn't made known to me beforehand. So that is really what's causing the issue.
You're currently experiencing a significant shortfall in funding, right?
Exactly.
To cover you when you return. And what is that amount that we're looking at?
They told me to prepare 7,000 RMB, which is equivalent to 1,000 US
A
dollars.
thousand US dollars, and you are
Yeah,
to leave the island when?
September 27th.
All right, so Oshin, for those watching this morning, and we are inspired about you achieving your purpose and your goal of becoming a computer scientist, how can we connect with you if it is that we want to offer you some support this morning?
All right, so you can reach out to me via phone. My phone number is 830-4947. You can also reach me via email. The email is Osheen, OSHEEN, DC at gmail.com. And I also provided some banking details so that if anyone sees and wants to contribute, they can also do so.
Okay, and there is a deadline by which you need to accumulate these funds, Oshin?
Yes, I have until I leave, which is the 27th. I'd say the latest would be around the 30th.
30th.
Because yeah,
All
I'd say
right.
around the 30th would be the
Awesome.
deadline.
That is so great, Oshin, and I am so happy to hear about your pursuit, and I know that you're going to do well. I wish you all the very best, and thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for the opportunity as well.
All right.